She asked me why all the other kids had both a mommy and a daddy, but she only had a mommy. I didn't hide the truth, didn't lie to her, didn't reach for the easy excuse that daddy was just somewhere far away.
You do have a daddy. It's just that he and I chose not to be together. He might not even know you exist. You can choose to find him. You can choose to be in his life, but I can't promise he'll accept you. Having you without telling him was my mistake.
I showed her a photo of Tristan. Lily was sharp. Young children's memories were remarkable. That one glance at the preschool and she recognized him immediately, but she didn't go to him. The living room was already small and cluttered. With one more person in it, the walls seemed to close in. Tristan sat in the armchair and set the paternity test document on the coffee table.
Explain. 5 years. One more round?
I looked down.
No. I have to pick up my kid from school.
The air went still. Tristan stopped moving. I tried to stand up from his lap, but his hand pressed down hard, pinning me in place. The burning heat in his eyes dimmed. A crack split through his usual composure. He gritted his teeth.
How old is the kid?
I stayed quiet. Then, after a moment, I answered
3.
softly. 3, not 4. And we had been broken up for 5 years. This child had nothing to do with him. Clearly, Tristan understood that too. I tried to stand again. This time, the hand at my waist didn't stop me. As I pushed through the door, he spoke again. Suspicion had crept into his voice.
Your file says you're unmarried.
I paused, then steadied myself and turned back, calm.
I just registered the marriage recently.
Just registered, but the kid's already 3?
Right. I got pregnant before we married.
Tristan didn't reply. His sharp eyes swept over the cheap ring on my finger, and he scoffed. I wasn't ashamed. I held it up for him to see clearly, almost poked him in the eye with it. The second I sensed his temper rising, I slipped out. Back home that night, I let out a long breath. Sometimes a lie is the most useful tool for handling trouble before it starts. I'd picked the ring up at the dollar store yesterday. Cheap and effective. Enough, I figured, to snuff out whatever last ember Tristan still had for me. Sure enough, my resignation was approved the next day. HR came up that afternoon to tell me in person. Wrap up the handover in a week, and I could leave standard. Resignations took a month. Mine took a week. No need to guess whose doing it was. I nodded and started training the intern on my accounts. The new intern was sweet and eager. At least while I was training her, I never had to pay for breakfast or afternoon tea. Near end of day, Chloe spoke up, a little sheepish.
Sienna, can I head out a bit early tonight? My boyfriend wants to grab dinner.
I hesitated. Not because I'd say no, but because I needed to leave early too, to pick up my daughter. She saw I wasn't answering and got anxious, pressing her hands together, sweet-talking nonstop.
Fine, go.
She thanked me and started packing up.
He's coming down to get me.
I blinked.
He works here too?
Chloe smiled, mysterious.
No,
She didn't finish. A low, magnetic voice cut in.
Ready?
My body locked up for a second. If it had been a voice I'd never heard before, maybe I'd have looked up out of curiosity. Unfortunately, this voice had haunted my nightmares for the past 5 years. On the nights I needed pills to sleep, Tristan's words played on loop in my head.
Sienna, you're such a good girl. Now I'll lead you astray. Try smoking. Girls who smoke are cool. I want to see a different side of you.
Coaxed, word by word, I fell, and I learned. From sophomore year, I went from one of Tristan's admirers to his hookup. Then, beating out every other girl, I became his girlfriend for 3 years. The day he accepted my confession, the weather was bad. The wind howled. He'd just dropped off a senior he'd been dating, parked below the women's dorm with a cigarette, like he was dozing. Ash scattered in the wind. I threw on a coat, went down, and knocked on his window. Counting on that sliver of specialness he reserved for me, I told him how I felt. In that moment, even the wind seemed to slow, like a film paused mid-frame. I waited quietly for his answer. Tristan turned his head, pulled out a cigarette, and brought it to his lips. His dark eyes were bottomless and devastatingly magnetic. I took it between my lips without thinking. My damp lips brushed his fingers. He didn't pull back. The mockery on his face shifted into quiet permission. He only said,
Good girl. Not so good anymore.
Back then, I was drowning in his eyes. I didn't catch what was buried in those words, not until graduation. The last time he asked me to a hotel, the last time we ever met. After it was over, he passed me a cigarette with practiced ease.
My future wife definitely won't be the type who smokes after sex.
I forced down the lump in my throat.
Why?
And asked him why. His tone was serious in a way it had never been.
Sienna, I like my girls pure.
Tears welled. I forgot to breathe. Pure. He said he liked them pure. But once he'd told me I was too pure, too good. that he didn't know where to start with me. It took me until that moment to understand what he'd really meant. Once I stopped being good, I was automatically filed under plaything. I pulled myself out of the memory. My expression settled back into neutral. Chloe spun around excitedly, grabbed her bag, and jogged toward the door.
Sienna, weren't you also trying to leave early to pick up your daughter? We can drop you off.
I was about to decline, but Tristan had already walked over, picked up my bag from the desk, and turned toward the parking garage without a word. No room to argue. The car ride was uncomfortably quiet.
really windy
Only
today.
Chloe
Turn
filled
right
the
at the
silence
intersection
every
ahead.
now and then.
Really?
Tristan
I see.
tapped the steering wheel lazily, gave her short, easy replies, but his eyes kept drifting to me in the rearview mirror. Chloe must have sensed the tension. She switched gears and tried to pull me into the conversation.
Sienna, you stay so late most nights. Does your husband handle school pickup usually?
The word husband hit me so unexpectedly that my brain stalled for a full second. I shook my head and found an excuse.
He's out of town. Doesn't come back often.
Then glanced down at the ring I'd bought from the dollar store a few days ago.
Is that your wedding ring? It looks like it's starting to fade. Like one of those $10 free shipping ones online. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Please don't take it the wrong way.
Chloe caught herself and turned to apologize, but I still caught the flash of disdain in her eyes, and that quiet little flicker of superiority. Fair enough. Her Hermes bag versus my powdered formula budget, those weren't even on the same planet. I was about to say something when a soft laugh stopped me. Tristan reached over and ruffled Chloe's hair, his expression warm and indulgent.
You didn't say anything wrong. You don't need to apologize. Poor people are proud people. Aren't you worried someone's going to make your life difficult at work?
The words were aimed at Chloe, but they were meant for me. A casually delivered sentence, openly defending her, quietly warning me. I turned to look out the window and pretended not to hear. In the 3 years I was with Tristan, I heard variations of that kind of remark countless times, that I wasn't good enough for him. I'll admit, the gap between us was enormous. My family wasn't poor, but we were solidly middle class, nothing more. The Hargroves weren't just wealthy, they stood at the center of power. Tristan made it plain to me right at the beginning.
Sienna, you can be my girlfriend, but you'll never be my wife.
I always knew. I kept a careful guard over my own heart, never overstepped. But there were moments when the feelings ran too deep and my resolve wavered. What if I tried? What if I actually fought for it? What if I won? So as graduation approached, I was the one who reached out to Tristan. That day, he came to pick me up early. He pulled over somewhere quiet on campus. His driver stepped out without being asked. I turned to face him. Dappled light from the trees outside cut through the window and hit my eyes. An hour later, Tristan was leaning back, white shirt slightly damp, a faint sheen on his forehead. The window was cracked. Cold air rushed in and scattered the smoke from his breath. I watched him and slowly asked the question.
Tristan, do you love me?
I realized, more than asking if he'd ever marry me, what I really needed to know was whether he had ever truly loved me. He looked at me, and for once, those teasing eyes held something genuine.
Graduation's almost here.
In that instant, I understood exactly what he meant. Almost time to graduate. Almost time to end this. The car stopped in front of the preschool. I pushed the door open and stepped out. My daughter was standing at the entrance, holding her teacher's hand.
Thank you. Sorry, Mommy's late today. Did you wait long?
Were you late because of that man?
Tristan was standing right behind me. I hadn't even heard him follow. The casual, unreadable look he usually wore had shifted into something heavier. And something else. A flicker of something that looked almost like joy. I froze. My grip on my daughter's hand tightened without thinking. His usual cold tone softened just slightly.
How old are you? What's your name?
I said nothing. I didn't stop it either. We'd been together for 3 years. I knew this man. If he didn't see her with his own eyes, he'd never believe a word I said. She understood immediately.
My name is Lily. I'm 3 years old.
I exhaled quietly.